All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Lindsley back with you for 9 minutes with me all over IGTV, Facebook, and on YouTube. Make sure you hit me on Twitter at Mike L Sports and download and subscribe to my podcast. It's called the ML Sports Platter, all over the major platforms like Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, as well as Stitcher, Deezer, the Podbean app, YouTube, and Tumblr. Download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review. This video here brought to you by Empower Federal Credit Union, Bryant and Stratton College, and Sit Means Sit Syracuse, the #1 training facility for pups in Central New York. If you're in and around the area, you have a dog, any breed, any behavior, it's all happening at Syracuse. Syracuse's best training facility for dogs. Sit Means Sit Syracuse. David and his team doing an unbelievable job. Go like the Facebook page and check out everything that they have to offer. Well, Super Bowl 54 in Miami in a couple of weeks is already set after yesterday's conference title games. It wasn't an overly dramatic day. It wasn't a great game type of day, but both teams advanced nonetheless. And let's start with the AFC in terms of the Chiefs and the Titans. Frankly, in the beginning of this game, Tennessee getting out early, 10-0. Kansas City had them right where they wanted them, being down early, just like against the Texans. The only difference is this time they didn't score over 50 points, but Kansas City came back and they stormed ahead eventually. And of course, at that point, Tennessee, they just can't keep up. And that was the one area where I thought, look, in every other circumstance, I'd probably be nervous for Andy Reid. Why? Because he's down. He's getting nervous. You look at him on the sideline like, oh boy, here we go again. But in this particular case, it was early in the game. He had all of his timeouts. He didn't have to game manage. He didn't have to do anything serious in this football game. And it was so early in terms of the game. And of course, you are also playing somebody by the name of Ryan Tannehill. Now, no disrespect to Tennessee and Ryan Tannehill and the comeback after they scored just a few points in the beginning of the year and they changed from Marcus Mariota to Tannehill. No disrespect to Derrick Henry, the best running back in the game, and of course the job that Mike Vrabel has done. But let's be honest, you can't get to the Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill. He might be able to have the Cinderella story in terms of beating New England and Foxborough and Baltimore, the 1 seed. But boy, doesn't it remind you a little bit of a northern Florida, northern Iowa type team in the NCAA tournament in Ali Farouk Manouche, where you can win a couple of games, but boy, you get to that second weekend and you just run out of gas and everybody kind of figures you out, and then you lose, right? So we see that in the NCAA tournament. We saw it yesterday with the Tennessee Titans. They just ran out of gas, and of course there was no way that they could keep the Kansas City Chiefs from scoring points. From Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce to Tyreek Hill, and the speed on that roster is unbelievable. You look at Sammy Watkins, and you could probably make the argument right now that the most athletic, best tight end in terms of being an X factor in the NFL is Travis Kelce. This guy is a one-man wrecking crew, and you look at it, and when he goes and runs his routes and all that, it allows the wide receivers to basically do anything that they want. It's like the indirect feeling on defense when you have two big guys underneath. They're allowing to take up space and all that, and your linebackers can run free. It's like Sam Adams and Tony Siragusa back in those legendary Ravens defensive days, and then you let Ray Lewis and Peter Bulwer and company just kind of run around and patrol all the areas. But Kansas City, they're going to the Super Bowl, and they deserve it. This is their year, I think. I'm not picking them to go and win the Super Bowl just yet, but boy, I feel like they're going to be able to even score against the San Francisco defense, which is really good. More on them in just a minute. But Kansas City right now, I mean, look, they have arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. I would actually put him #1, slightly ahead of Russell Wilson. The guy's a magician. He's Steph Curry on the football field. And I just think it's a really, really good place, a good spot for Kansas City to make the Super Bowl. They haven't been there in 50 years. The last time they were there, they won Super Bowl IV against the Minnesota Vikings. Len Dawson and company, of course, Hank Stram, and with Lamar Hunt. Well, how cool was it yesterday with his son Clark Hunt, now the principal owner of the team, getting the Lamar Hunt trophy in his father's name. And, of course, Lamar Hunt and the Foolish Club with the likes of Al Davis and Ralph Wilson and Sonny Werblin and company, they were the group. They were the most important group in NFL history in terms of the AFL challenging the NFL to make it one league. And, of course, we know what happened in Super Bowl III with Joe Namath and Jets beating the Colts. That was a huge, huge, unbelievable, historic moment. I kept it on the TV to watch that. And, of course, Clark Hunt now with the KC Chiefs, are the most exciting quarterback in the league, and Andy Reid, a future Hall of Famer. It is now his time, and of course, this KC team should be good for a long time. I'm not going to go ahead and throw the word dynasty all over But they should be really good for a long time because Mahomes and Reed should be together for at least 5 to 8 years and maybe even 10 if Andy Reid so desires and he stays healthy. So good timing. It's their year. The KC Chiefs, no Ravens, no Brady, no Belichick, home field, and away they go with Reid and Patrick Mahomes in year 3. So perfect timing. It was their time to get into the Super Bowl. KC, congrats to the AFL stalwart of years gone by and, of course, the best team this year in the AFC in today's NFL. Now, meanwhile, the 49ers, they take care of business against the Green Bay Packers. This game really wasn't close from the start. And how about this stat? Jimmy Garoppolo, he goes 6 of 8 throwing the football the entire game. He didn't really have to do any work. And it was the 49er offensive line pushing around the Packers defense at the line of scrimmage, and Mostert with well over 200 yards in this game, 4 touchdowns. It was a complete rollover and a physical battle that was one that Green Bay did not want to show up to. I just think San Francisco is so interesting to watch because since the beginning of the year, the 49ers have done the best job in the NFL in terms of winning in every possible kind of way. Remember, in the beginning of the year, we were waiting for Jimmy Garoppolo. Was he healthy? What about the ACL? Could he push off the leg, etc.? Could he take over a game? And they were managing the game to the point where just enough Jimmy Garoppolo could help you. And then all of a sudden, as the season kept going, 49ers go into New Orleans and Jimmy Garoppolo outduels and outguns Drew Brees. And you were like, aha, so he can do it. Kyle Shanahan, a magician at work as the offensive coordinator. They were up big yesterday. I know a lot of people were thinking, oh, don't blow the lead, pal, because last time you blew the lead, you were OC, the Falcons 28-3 up in the Super Bowl on the Patriots. Totally different deal here. The 49ers defense is a heck of a lot better than Atlanta's was, number one. And number two, when you have a look at this 49ers team, you think balance, you think versatility, you think quickness, you think, all sorts of things. Depth with this team. Nick Bosa, DeForest Buckner, D. Ford rushing the passer and getting in the backfield to disrupt the runners. This is the best defense in the National Football League. And then you take a look at the offense. They have a 3-headed monster at running back, which they've been rolling out. The O-line's really good. They beat you at the line of scrimmage. They get the big plays. They work with short fields. The special teams is really good. I think San Francisco, again, much like Kansas City, it was their time. I went back and forth between them and the Saints and the Seahawks and the Packers slightly behind in terms of the best team in the NFC all year long. There is no doubt now. The two best teams are in the Super Bowl, and very rarely, not very rarely, but sometimes you don't really get that. You don't get the best teams because of upsets galore, and no disrespect, again, back to Tennessee, but I'm glad that they're not there because I don't want the Titans in there with Ryan Tannehill and company. I want the Chiefs in there. I want the better game, the better story, the better quarterback, and I think right now you've got it. You've got the Chiefs, you've got the Niners, you have the two big-time stories, and oh, baby, you've got Kyle Shanahan and Andy Reid with 2 straight weeks to prepare for the Super Bowl. Wow, what kind of playbooks are these guys going to roll out for the big game down in South Beach? It should be a fantastic game, and the timing was great for the 49ers. By the way, side note, how about the historical significance of the 49ers being back into the Super Bowl? Remember, the 49ers, if they win this game, they will be at the top of the list, tied with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots for the most Super Bowl wins of all time. That number is 6. The 49ers, of course, have 5 wins. They won 4 in the 90s and then another one later in the mid-90s, beating the Chargers in the Super Bowl with Steve Young and Jerry Rice. They ended up in the Super Bowl a few years back with Colin Kaepernick as quarterback, believe it or not. They lost to the Ravens in the Harbaugh Bowl in that game. But if they can beat the Chiefs in 2 weeks down in Miami, they'll have 6 Super Bowls, and that'll be the most of all time, tied with Pittsburgh and New England. So there is historical significance there. This is going to be tremendous stuff. Patty Mahomes, best quarterback in the league against the best defense. You got Shanahan and Reid, 2 offensive wizards, 2 trademark NFL franchises as well in the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's in one of the best Super Bowl neutral venues that you could possibly get with the sunshine and all the rest. Players love going to Miami and playing the Super Bowl. Just got to stay away from the bars the night before. Chiefs, Niners should be fun. I'll have my preview as we get closer to the big game. This is 9 Minutes with me, Mike Lindsley, IGTV, Facebook, YouTube, all over the major platforms. Go ahead and get my podcast, the ML Sports Platter. This video brought to you by the Al and Angus Pub, Sit Means Sit Syracuse, Brian Comboy of Mass Mutual New York State, and Barks and Rec Doggy Daycare. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.